Hey, I got to tell you something. TBN is launching a brand new daily show later this month. It's called Centerpoint. Its focus is on bringing you up to speed on the news with a level head and, of course, a Christian worldview perspective. Take a look at this.
Across the country, an overwhelming number of people say the media no longer presents anything close to an accurate view of what's really going on in the world. I'm Doug McKelway, and I've been reporting the facts my entire career.
I'm Belinda Lane, and I'm thrilled to be bringing you truth and perspective from voices of faith across the globe.
I'm Eric Stakelbeck, inviting you to watch our new show, Centerpoint on TBN.
How much should these parents be trying to shelter and protect what the children know and don't know about what's actually happening in their country?
Watch Centerpoint on TBN, a new show with thought leaders and decision makers who shape our world.
Mark the date for the launch of Centerpoint, weekdays at 7:30 p.m.
Beginning March 28th on TBN.
And here now to tell us more, former Fox News correspondent and anchor for TBN Centerpoint. Please welcome Doug McKelway. Doug, great having you here.
Thank you. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thanks, Gov.
You and I had the pleasure of being colleagues of a sort at Fox, even though we were in different worlds. You were living in the Washington, D.C. bureau. I did my show out of New York at the time. But you're a pro's pro when it comes, and when they told me that you were going to be the one who would be anchoring the new news show, I thought, how fantastic that is for the TBN audience to have your experience. Journalism is...
I owe him money.
Yeah, well, that's true. Just give me a second helping of that Irish food. Journalism, and I'm talking about real journalism, is in your DNA, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, literally going back centuries in my family. A family of Presbyterian ministers, actually, going back to Scotland, who immigrated this country in the early part of the 1800s. And some of them stuck with the pulpit and others turned to the pen. My great-grandfather was a Presbyterian minister who left the ministry to come lobby against child labor in Washington and wrote the legislation which ended child labor in the United States at the end of the 19th and start of the 20th century. He had two sons, one of whom was my grandfather, and other whom was my great uncle, who decided to go into journalism. My grandfather, after serving in World War I in the infantry, got a job at the Washington Evening Star newspaper as a copy boy, a reporter, city editor, managing editor, executive editor, president of the Associated Press, president of the American Society of Newspaper Editors, and a counselor to presidents from Herbert Hoover on to Lyndon Johnson, the full span of the 20th century, basically.
That's pretty big pedigree.
Well, the better story is my great uncle, his younger brother, who dropped out of high school as a 14-year-old guy, hopped a freight train to the state of Florida from his home in Washington, D.C., and got a job as a newspaper man, and then eventually rose to become the managing editor of the New Yorker magazine. And one of the great writers of the New Yorker's heyday.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
You know, you were talking about some of people in your family took to the pen. Some of the people in my family were in the pen. That's the difference. just want to clarify that. So, tell us about Centerpoint. I'm excited about this. It's a totally new venture for TBN, and you're really not just the anchor of the show, managing editor of the content. So what will people see on Centerpoint?
Well, it's kind of tabula rasa at this point, but we've got some sort of big ideas about who we want to interview and what we want to focus on. There's such an overwhelming amount of information out there for everybody. It's impossible for even experienced journalists to sift through it all, but that's what we're going to try to do, cull the wheat from the chaff in this situation. We're also subject to so much misinformation in this day and age, and disinformation propagated in many cases by special interests and by foreign governments who have tremendous influence in distorting the news. So you have that dynamic. You also have the dynamic of the combination of big tech and big government isolating and silencing voices. You know, my grandfather, who was editor of the Evening Star newspaper and president of the Associated Press, was a fierce defender of the First Amendment. I mean, during the Cold War years in the 1950s, and said that it was incumbent upon the press to police itself, lest you get some policeman bearing down on you, which is not what the First Amendment is all about. So I see this as an opportunity to really be responsible in our regard for the First Amendment.
I think it's going to be.
And I'm probably the least perfect vehicle to be broadcasting news on a religious station. I've made every mistake you can make in adult life, and I'm not joking about that. But I have a reverence for the Judeo-Christian ethic as it defines at the most basic level the American Constitution and our individual liberties. And I do think that our individual liberties are being threatened in this day and age with all of these factors that are weighing in.
I think that's so true. And it's one of the reasons I think you're a perfect fit. The professionalism that you're going to bring to this newscast is just something that everyone at TBN is very excited about. There's something else you actually have in your background that a lot of people will never know if they've seen you do the news on Fox News. You're a banjo player, for heaven's sakes.
I'm a banjo player.
You happen to have one with you that it was made by a world-class banjo maker named Steve Huber.
Take a look at this beautiful instrument right here.
He lives 2 miles from our theater and makes banjos for some of the great people of the work. You know, I think we ought to have you play with Trey and the band. So here's what we're going to do. While Doug gets set up, Keith, I want you to tell us how we can watch Centerpoint, and we're going to let Doug go over and play with the band a little bit with the banjo.
Centerpoint launches right here on TBN on Monday, March 28th. Watch it weeknights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, to learn more, go to Huckabee.tv and don't forget to share it with everybody you know. Now, put your hands together for TBN's banjo playing anchor, Doug McKelway.